What's going on, man?
JoJo, how you feeling, my brother?
Man, I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm blessed by the best, man. Fighting a little cold, so please forgive me, everybody, if I sound a little off. But I'm trying to fight the sinus infection off, man. So thank y'all for tuning in and being here. Please bear with us.
Yeah, we are having some tech issues, but that's when you're doing something right. So we're gonna try to work through it today.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Welcome to another live episode of the Final Notice Podcast, man. We are streaming live on Facebook at Final Notice Podcast, and then we
Yes,
are
sir.
also on YouTube at Final Notice Podcast on YouTube as well. So if you definitely haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to it. Like and share it. If this is the content for you, then we ask that you continue to come back and support it. If it's not, hey, keep scrolling, man. But we're gonna keep on rolling. Um,
Amen.
Hey, man,
How you
interesting,
been? How you been?
bro. To be honest with you, man, I've been all right, man. I've been okay. I've
That's
been all
good.
right, man. It was a rough week, man. But you know, what you gonna do, man?
What you gonna do? Keep praying. Keep fighting through it. That's right. We've been through worse, right?
Yep, most definitely. Like I always say, man, this year, 2025, my motto was to live and walk in faith, man. So I
That's
try
right.
not to dwell on the things that are going wrong and just keep pushing forward. That I know God got me, and He's in control of everything that's going on around me and also in my life. So
That's right.
take it one day at a time, man. So with you though, man, what's going on your end, man?
I'm good, bro. I just ask everybody to keep my daughter in prayer. We had to surrender our dog last night. It was kind of crazy. Dog got out the gate, got ran over, got hit by a car. And due to I think veterinarians and all that stuff is a scam. It's going through what I went through, man. And it's just crazy because they wanted like $1,000, like close to $1,000 just to diagnose the dog, bro. They wouldn't even tell me what's wrong with it, like what's going on. They just wanted me to take out a loan and do all this other stuff. And I think the saddest part, because it was like a part of my house, like a family member, I really felt it. My daughter felt it the worst, and we had to just surrender her over, man. But other than that, man, everything is good, bro. I'm learning a lot, and that's the one thing that I love. Every day I wake up, I get a chance to learn.
Man, definitely sorry to hear that. Tell your daughter we said we praying for her to uplift her in spirit, man. Definitely know how hard it is, especially when the kids grow up with the pets. So that's the
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
especially when they
yeah.
grow up with the pets. So that's kind of like definitely hard,
And
man.
she always wanted one since she was a baby, man. And that opportunity came, and it, for it to be, it was only 7 months, man. It took taken away from her like that. It was like it just hurt, man.
Yeah, man. Definitely don't know what to say to that, man. All I know is that when it comes to these pets, when it comes to these, dogs and cats,
Something else, man. Something else, bro. Something
sometimes I
else.
swear they really respect them more than human beings, man.
Yeah, I heard somebody say we really don't deserve them, especially when it comes to like dogs. We really don't deserve them.
Yeah,
And I say that because they so loyal, they so sweet when you're taking care of them, this and the other. It's like you look at them a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like just how they carry themselves. It's a cool thing, man.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. I mean, if you are a pet owner, and I definitely I understand the bond and the relationship. I, on the
Yeah.
other hand, I have 3 parakeets. You know what I'm saying? That I have to
Okay.
after house and also provide food and water for. I don't
Right.
care to do it, but because of my kids, I do it for them. I've never
Gotta
really
do it
been
for the kids. Always for the
yeah, I
kids.
ain't got no choice, man. So, I definitely understand that, we do grow attached to them. Because even sometimes when we travel, come back home, I'll be like,
Right.
man, what if the birds are okay? I'm asking my neighbors to go check on them and stuff like that, to, give them extra food and all that.
Right.
But as much as I don't care, I do care. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely understand
Yeah.
what's going on. But man,
And I
sorry to
wanted to
hear.
give a couple of can I get a couple of shout outs real quick, bro? First I
Yeah,
want to
man.
have my sister Latoya. She's been a big supporter of the podcast. And it's always a great thing when you see people that supporting you and putting you out there. So she shared the flyer earlier, even on her own page and stuff like that. So I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. Even the young lady make the flyers. I'm grateful for her. I promise you I'm gonna give you an updated headshot soon. I want to shout out my bishop, like my old bishop that I used to serve under, because he the one that actually made that picture, and he was very pivotal. His name is Bishop Tyrone Smith. I just want to shout him out because he was very pivotal in helping me move into that business and finance part of my life. And he actually the one that helped create that picture. He helped me make flyers and everything like that. So he actually had his own like printing company and different things like that. He does graphic design. That's what his graphic design company. So I just want to shout him out and I'm thankful for him as well. But I was sitting back looking at this love and support we've been getting, man. I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, definitely want to appreciate that everybody too as well that's been tuning in, supporting the movement with this Finding Orders podcast. We definitely want to be able to, give back to the community in any kind of way that we can.
Right.
But understand that, we're humans too. You know what I'm saying? We don't have all the answers, nor do we claim to have all the answers. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's
So
right.
I want to put that out there. So when you do come on, if it's something that we say that you feel like we was incorrect about saying, you can always reach out to us. Again, you can always reach out to us directly at email at findingorderspodcast@gmail.com, or you can inbox us directly. Or if you want, hey, just leave a comment, and if you want to exchange numbers, we can exchange numbers, or we, kind of like just to communicate on the side too as well. We can also do so. But
do me a favor. Please let me know that you know me from the podcast or something. Because if you don't, I might not accept the friend request or something, man. So please let me know. I'm a weird person like that, so I'm sorry. But just let me know if it's from the podcast. I looked at my Facebook friends and I was wondering, like, how do I know these people? Like, where do these people come from? And it's kind of crazy because I don't even know how, that happened. But just let me know, man. Please. I appreciate it. Oh, and last thing. Me personally, and I know you as well, but I'm not going to speak for you. I'll let you speak for yourself.
mm-hmm.
We never want to use this podcast to tear people down. I never want to be a self-righteous individual, whereas though I'm talking about the things that I've experienced and the things that I've gone through, and I never want to make it seem like I'm using this platform to tear anyone down. That is never, ever, ever my goal. I don't like any kind of division at all. I think that's one of the reasons why I had such a hard time accepting or dealing with some of the things that our current leader of this nation does, because I'm just not for division. Now, I want to build unities. I want to build community. I want to do things us together as a people, as a whole. So anybody that ever got offended by anything that I've said, I apologize. It's not that I have personal stories. And although I'm not really willing sometimes to address certain issues in front of people, most times I'll talk to them and I'll listen and I'll just go about my way. I apologize for the things that I've done. But I also know that in certain times, they are not willing to hear the truth. And at certain times they don't. And I'm not the one to argue with anybody. I'm never going to argue with anybody and go back and forth with somebody. Unless it was somebody that we're really trying to seek an understanding about. But I definitely don't want anybody to ever feel like I'm attacking them. And that's not what I'm doing at all.
Yeah. I feel the same way too. You know what I'm saying? And I had to learn this last year, and I think I kind of like made and addressed this on the podcast where
Right.
I felt like, it was some things that I could have said and did a lot differently.
Right.
And it all comes from being mature and also being able to understand when you're wrong, you're wrong.
That's right.
Like I said, we don't claim to know all the answers. I only come here to share my experiences and hope that if somebody's going through the same thing, that they can use my experience to be able to get out that situation. You know what I'm saying? But whenever I come on here and I tell you guys personal stuff, it's not because I'm embarrassed. Only somebody who's ashamed of where they are in life is
right.
the reason why they're embarrassed. I actually embrace my mistakes because, it's funny. I asked my son a question, right? And I said, and this is pertaining to football. And I said, let me ask you something, son. And I call my son my best friend. So I was like, hey, let me ask you a question. He said, yeah, Dad, what's up? Hey, is it more important to be, when you play football, is like to be correct, or is it better to make mistakes? Like, is it more important to win, win an actual, game, or to actually, make mistakes in the game, right? And he said, Daddy, well, to be honest with you, everybody wants to win.
Right.
That's what my son
Right.
told me. He said, Daddy, everybody wants to win. I said, you're absolutely right about that. So he said, everybody wants to win, right? But the most important thing, Daddy, is that I make mistakes. And I said, well, that's interesting because he was only 11 at that time, right? I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, why is it important for you to make mistakes? He said, because when I win, it covers up my mistakes.
Mm.
Okay. He said, when I win, because I won, it covered up my mistakes that I made, right? So when I make my mistakes, it helped me learn.
Right.
So when he
Right.
said that, I said, man, for an 11-year-old, this is some wisdom that most adults don't even have. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So that's something that I took from my son. And I was like, yo, I definitely looked at him and I said, man, if you can learn from your mistakes the way that you're saying that, then I can also admit when I'm wrong and learn from my mistakes. So I definitely had that opportunity to learn from my mistakes from last year when we started the podcast.
Right.
And, something that it hit me on my heart. So, we don't claim to know all the answers, nor do I care to know all the answers. But I will share with you my personal experience and efforts to help you go through what you're going through, and hopefully
Right.
that'll help you get to that next level. You know what I'm saying? And that's why
Right.
I love seeing a lot of the brothers that I know from around my neighborhood that they use their experiences. You know what I'm saying, to give back to the community. We may not be walking in the same path, but we are doing the same mission, which is trying to teach somebody to not make the same mistakes we made. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. And
So
Brother Larry said that they're not mistakes; they just life lessons. So we
yeah, you're
appreciate you,
absolutely
Brother
right.
Larry,
And shout out
for coming in.
shout out to Larry, man. Larry, my boy has a very unique story, man. Up and coming superstar boxer from the DMV. And
All
hopefully
right.
one day him and I can sit down and see maybe we can get him to come on here to talk a little bit about that experience and how that has shaped him into who he is now. But definitely appreciate you, brother.
Right.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
Yeah,
you, brother.
definitely, man. So yeah, so what you got for us today, Aaron? I know you reached out to me, say you had something that you wanted us to kind of like touch
Yeah,
on.
man. Yeah, man. Yeah,
What's up?
man. I sit down sometimes and I, meditate and I'm thinking. My mind is always thinking, always trying to be progressive, always trying to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I try to listen and find out where, my spirit is leading me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the topic of what we have been discussing tonight is called tunnel vision, right? And sometimes I'm gonna get into the story, but I want to say sometimes tunnel vision is really good. I think sometimes people make tunnel vision a really good thing, and it could be like you could become very determined, you become very focused, But the thing about that is, tunnel vision sometimes can actually backfire on you, and
Mm-hmm.
tunnel vision can cause you to be stagnant and stuck in a place because your sight is only one side. And in fact, I went and dug up the definition for tunnel vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me see if I can blow this up, right? Yeah, so tunnel vision is the noun, right? The first definition of it: constriction of the visual field resulting in loss of peripheral vision.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we need that peripheral vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, sometimes you get people saying, like, listen, man, I want to be a millionaire by the end of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get so focused on that one goal and you get stuck that you don't really see the other things that's coming from out your peripheral that you can't plan for. And it's kind of like you said, with Brother Larry being a boxer and everything, you can't really have one singular plan and focus when you go into a boxing match, right? So you have to be learned to, use your elements and different things that come against you. And it also says extreme narrowness of point of view, of viewpoint,
Mm-hmm.
narrow-mindedness, also single-minded concentration on one objective. And I've been around a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of people sit back and say these different things about let's get this back up here real quick. Just having tunnel vision. You got to focus, tunnel vision. And that's okay if you like a horse trying to run a race.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are a human being trying to live life, and you're a human being trying to like achieve different goals, first of all, I would hope people know that you're never going to achieve this alone, right? You're never going to get this by yourself. I don't care how great you are. And this is one of the things that I had to come to grips with. I don't care how great you are. you are never going to be singularly focused on one thing or your own level of greatness and think you're going to achieve it by yourself. That is impossible. That if that was the case, and I think we did this last year, it's like almost every living organism on this planet is codependent on something else. You know, whether it's worms or birds or bees needing the worms to fertilize the ground so that plants can grow and different things like that. Everything is like harmonic and it moves together. No one thing on this earth is designed to move alone. So when you have an extreme focus on getting somewhere, sometimes you can trample on people, you can overlook people, not taking consideration other people around you, but you're just stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it brought me to this one question, and I hope we can get a lot of people to chime in. I hope we get a lot of people to give us some feedback tonight. I mean, I thank you, Brother Larry, for jumping in the chat. We appreciate you. But let me find this question right here. It says, see, I'm not used to this. We're gonna get it though. Here we go. So we put this question on the screen, right? And y'all can throw it in the chat. Let us know how you feel. Now I ask you this question, and while you can answer this question while we get some feedback. But the question is, the life that you wish to have is a life that is built on what? And that's when I end up calling you and asking you. The life that you choose to have. Now, hold up. We're going to see if we can get some responses first, right? Because yours is like a cheat code for real. Like you was already there with me. What I'm gonna do, yeah. I'm gonna see if we can walk it out real quick, right?
Yeah.
So one of the main things from a carnal or worldly perspective that most people would say, would you agree? They would say wealth or money.
That's the question you asking me?
I'm asking you. Would you say, like most people in the world, especially with the current climate that we living in?
Mm-hmm.
Because you would hear people say, I voted for this man, not because he's a good person, not because of this, not because of that, but because of my money.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really knock them for it. Like I said, that's that tunnel vision to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're only focusing on your money and you're only focusing on one particular thing, you don't never get to see the outcome and the damage that that one thing will cause just by voting for it or choosing it. Right. So the question becomes, so in my opinion, and that's what made me have a conversation earlier today with a couple of guys that I work with. I consider them good people, good friends. And the one we going through the union contracts right now. And one of the guys said, man, I don't care about none of that. I just want the money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, it seemed like you're not concerned about nothing else. The only thing you care about is your money.
Mm-hmm.
And to a smaller degree, the other guy was agreeing with it. And because I was like, yo, realistically, I don't work for money. He said, what you think we doing now? I said, we having a conversation. We're really not even working. You know what I'm saying? I said, but we're here to get money. But if money was the only thing that I came here for, not really try to help the kids that I work with, not try to work with the people that I work with, they don't pay me enough money to come here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really singularly work just for money.
Well, you gotta understand this, right? And that's a really good question, because when you asked me that, I was driving and I had to kind of give you an answer on the spot. But then when I really started thinking about the question, I like to really dive into it to kind of really understand the foundation of that question, right? But you gotta understand, a lot of us we have become so dependent on financial status, right? We become so tunnel vision with financial status, right? Because in our society, your financial status determines who you are. At least that's what society tells us that, right? You can have, you can be the most ignorant. I'm gonna take somebody for example, Daniel Snyder,
right?
A very successful human being, a businessman, right? He owned the Washington Commanders previously, but he was a nasty person on the other side of that too, right? So, but
allegedly, according to reports,
right, allegedly, right. If you see him, right, he's nothing but 5 feet, 5'6". He's not even that tall,
right.
But his money makes him, his financial status make him a giant compared to a person like me, right?
Right.
But if he stood
Right.
next to me and if you strip him away from all his financial status, we're not even in the same category. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
because of our society, financial status has become the slave to our mindset. You
Right.
know, and so that's why a lot of us, when you ask that question, when you pose that question, many of us have good intentions, but everybody want to get paid for what they feel like they're worth. So that's why
Right.
financial status is the first thing that comes, like kind of like jump. Man, I want to have money. And then they'd be like, well, if I have money, I can help people. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do that. They list everything they can do with financial status, right?
Right.
Because that's what our society has, unfortunately, given us that tunnel vision that this is what we only have to be, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Like with some of these fathers who don't take care of their kids, right? This is some of the simple things I tell them. I say, look, financially, yeah, they're taking you for child support and all of that. It don't cost you nothing to pick up your child and take him to the park.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying? That
Hmm.
doesn't cost you anything to go spend a day with your daughter or your son or your kids at the park. Just to spend that time and that moment doesn't cost you anything. But
Right.
because we're so used to being stuck in that tunnel vision of having financial status or financial stability, we look at everything around us as having to deal with money. At least the majority of us, right?
That's right.
But then when you look at it, the people that have the most money are the most miserable ones too as well.
That's
So
right.
there's a downside to it, but we the brokies, right? We the brokies, and I can only talk about myself. I can't.
I feel you, bro. Yes, sir.
We the brokies. We want that drama. We want that smoke that you're running away from. But
Yeah.
we get
Yeah.
so stuck on I gotta have money. I gotta have money. I gotta have money. That we actually don't even see the process of us even getting to the money
Right.
because all we see is I just gotta get the money. But the beautiful part about being rich is about that journey that you took to actually get that wealth. But a
Right.
lot of us, we want to jump from point A to right to Z. We don't even care about everything else in between. We don't even
That's
want
the
to know how we.
accountability. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of like why when you ask that question, the the typical, Joe Schmo, you know what I'm
Yeah. Right.
saying?
Hmm.
I would say financial status.
And I'm with you. Brother Larry is there with me, feeling me where I was going in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He put on there and says, but see, you can get money from anywhere. You can get knowledge from everywhere. And that's the thing about money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Money sometimes to me is so fleeting. Not only that, the Bible says don't store your riches up in this earth.
Mm-hmm.
When you die, like how much money do you really need? How much money do you have to have? And it was weird because some of the things that you hear about the entertainers, the rappers, different than other, and we hear all of them in their music saying, I sold my soul to the devil and the price was cheap, DMX. All these people sit back and saying like how they sold their soul and all these different things just for $1. It's crazy to me. I want to say even up until last year, because I'm a 10-month employee, right? So
Mm-hmm.
during the summertime, I got to find other employment. And God blessed me to have another set of skills, right? Which is carpentry, which is other things that I want to do as far as building communities. I want to use those skills to build communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had these different opportunities to get money. And every single time when I looked at the end of that journey and that road, nothing that I had done showed for it. Nothing showed for what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to sit back and I had to think, and like I said, well, Lord, am I chasing money or am I trusting you? Because if I'm chasing money, that means I don't have enough faith that you're going to provide my every need. You get all these people, oh, I got to chase the bag, got to chase the bag, got to chase the bag. How many people you notice out here chasing bags, like you said, is emotionally disconnected? You know what I'm saying? They mentally disconnected. They become numb. Steve Harvey was one of those guys that was running around talking about rich people don't sleep. Rich people don't sleep. You get money. But he was the main one turning around and had major health issues. Now all of a sudden he had to slow down. So when you out here chasing money, like I told people, I can go and get a second job and cover other things. But I have a 17-year-old girl that's growing up in a very racist and sexist world that's going to need me to help her gain her courage, her inspiration. It's going to need me to feed her, you know what I'm saying, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Help her gain her confidence when she go out of these doors and deal with this world. Not only that, she's going to be a senior next year. You know, I have to prepare her for real life in the world outside of that. How can I do these things when she comes home with these issues and these problems, and I'm not there to help comfort her, to help guide her through those minefields and those traps and those different things? It's never always about money. I have a friend of mine who he said, he called me some years ago, said he had an opportunity to make $100K. And I was like, all right, so what's the problem? He said, I got to leave my wife. I got to go and work somewhere else. And I can only really see her on the weekends. I was like, well, that's crazy, because when your wife is hurt or lonely or insecure, who's going to be there to comfort her? Who's going to cover her? And as a husband, that's one of your main jobs, is to cover her. You could go and chase the bag, but then when the enemy comes in, just like Satan did Eve, he can beguile her. You being her Godhead and the cover of her, how are you going to do that? Mm-hmm. So those are the things that I would say about money, right? Mm-hmm. So let's switch it to another one, right? Because one of the other responses I got was they wanted to live a life of peace. What you say about that?
Now, what do you mean what I say about that? That's exactly what I want.
What you think about that? You want peace?
Let me tell you something. Man. So okay. So I'm gonna be very, very transparent, right? I'm really very transparent, right? And that is the way I tell my truth, is by being transparent with people around me, people in front of me, people behind me, people to the side of me. That's how I became who I am. I'm comfortable with being honest with myself first before I can be honest with somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. When I remember a couple of years ago, and I'm not gonna put his name, I'm not gonna put his name on this podcast, only because I still respect him as a human being, one, and I respect him as a friend too. Even though he talked out of pride towards me, and I don't. Maybe one person might remember this conversation, right? So, as a friend that we all went to college with, right?
Right.
And got out of college real successful, making money, about $100K, right?
Right.
He called himself six figure, right? Gave himself a nickname and all that, right?
Right.
Now, when he said that, right? He said, "Yeah, look at the car that I'm driving." I looked at the joint. I'm like, "Man, this is a baby mama type joint. It ain't even nothing, it ain't even nothing like that." But that's what I'm saying in my head, like, bro, yeah, it's nice, but that's the one you get to your side joint. You know what I'm saying? Like your little joint joint. But okay, that's you.
Right.
But when he said that, right, he said it out of pride. He didn't say it as of, I worked hard to get here, and I'm trying to tell you how to get here, right? So he's telling me all these things.
Braggadociousness.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's fast forward to where I'm at in life right now, right?
Right.
I'll probably have accomplished a lot more. With my one thing that I've done in this world was to purchase my house from the ground up. Right. I can easily say, well, compare my accomplishment to your accomplishment. I have done this.
Right.
But to me, then that would be living in his chaotic world where I feel like I have to use my materialistic things to identify who I am. So I don't have a peace, because now I got to use that to identify myself.
Right.
Which is not something that is just really a good foundation on, because I'm using my wealth or my access of things that I have access to self-identify. Right. Mm-hmm. So to go back to that question, I'm never going to be in peace, because I always have to use this bottle here to identify who I am. I got this bottle. You ain't got it. You get what I'm saying? Now,
absolutely.
If you go back to the scripture, right, when Christ came in the New Testament, he could have left us with anything that he wanted in this world, because he was the Son of God.
Right.
He said, I'm leaving you guys with what? Peace. Mm-hmm. The rich man has no peace. A poor man has more peace in their life than a man who has money. Many of y'all won't even understand that. Many of y'all gonna say, oh, he's crazy. You got to really sit down and really dive down into that word peace, because it's not peace as in, oh, my kids ain't calling me today, so I got peace of mind. Nah, we talking about longevity, peace in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can be successful and have everything. I'll give you a good example. Daniel Snyder, a billionaire, a multi-billionaire, not just a play money. He's playing with the house money. He got it, right?
Right.
But it
Right.
was so much chaos around him that he couldn't even enjoy the hard work that he had worked for to obtain the Washington Commanders. He had to be forced to sell what he has worked hard for. There was no peace.
No peace.
Right? So if you don't have peace in this world, you have nothing. Peace is more important to a human being, at least to me, than it is for me to have the most amount of riches. Because if I have peace in my life, right? If I have peace in my life and I have peace around me, I wouldn't have to worry about looking over my head, on my shoulder. I wouldn't have to worry about that because I live in a space where it doesn't allow me to be able to be conformed to the things that the world has to offer me. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said, peace is a lot more important to me, at least in the age where I'm at right now in life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've learned how to make myself available and not available at the same time. Right. I know how to cut people off. I told you, my cutoff game is ridiculous. It is like that. You get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, if I feel like you're going to invade that privacy space of that space, that space, I got to cut you off. It don't matter how much money you're going to offer me. If I'm not going to enjoy it and be able to, be at peace with my family, my friends, my kids, you know what I'm saying, my wife, and everything that I want to do, and just be, in my little bubble, as I like to call it,
right,
it means nothing to me, bro.
Right. So we're gonna ask the chat again. We got our question out here. We got Brother Larry jumping in. He's going crazy in the comments. We appreciate you, Brother Larry. He said homeless people homeless people more happier than rich people, and that's good. So if you want to jump in the chat, chime in with us, give us your input, give us your thought. It says the type of life that you wish to desire, the type of life that you desire, the type of life that you want to have is built on and based on what? And I asked my brother JoJo right here. He just sat here and said peace is really at the end of the day what everybody wants. But you would say, even your example that you said, that peace is really a state of mind.
Yeah, I would say that.
Peace is really, first of all, if I'm not mistaken, the word said you have to fight for peace.
I think you said that
which
too.
is weird because it's an oxymoron, right? Which I love about the Bible because it's full of a lot of those twisted, weird things, right? You got to fight for peace. Peace is the opposite of war. But even as a believer, we are persecuted all day. We have to buffet ourselves every single day. We have to bring our flesh under control every single day. That is a fight. The fact that we say that we are believers and we believe in God right there lets you know, like, we're going to be persecuted for his name's sake because we are believers. So in my mind, how that, like, peace, asking for peace to me is weird. And the only reason why I say that, like, yes, we want peace. I used to tell my mom, like, when I was going through my divorce and going through certain things, I was like, Mom, I just want to be happy. I want to be happy. But then you sit back there and you say Philippians, 4:7, the peace that passes all understanding to guard your heart and mind through Christ Jesus, right? But then when you read verse 8, it says, think on the things that are good, the things that are pure, the things that are virtue, so forth and so forth. And it says, the God of peace will be with you, right? So to me, peace is a state of mind. It's not necessarily something that we are going to obtain to actually exercise, because you might have peace now before you lay down. Your house is going to be peaceful, rest. But when you wake up in the morning, that chaos is going to kick right back up, and all them kids wake up, start running through the house and making messes, right? You got to feed them and get them ready for school. The chaos. When you go outside in traffic, right? You're going to come across a couple of people who don't know how to drive. It's going to test your Holy Spirit in your tongue the whole way to work. And you be praying, especially where people can't drive. It's like, come on, man, what are we doing? You try to be nice and let people over, and they just go slower. It was like, come on, man, I was trying to be nice to you. Peace to me, to be a believer, is the complete opposite of what I say that I want, because I don't think it's one of those things that you're ever going to really have. It's just something that you really have to fight for. I think I used the example with you, like the idea and the concept of the Amish people is what came to my mind when somebody, like I was talking to my mom when my mom told me, she said she wanted peace. Right? At this stage in her life, she's in her 60s. She's been through a lot of things, had 5 kids, raised 5 kids. All of us is grown and in our 40s. And at this point in her life, she said, I just want peace. I get it. I said, but to me, the concept, I'm not saying that they are happy because I don't know any Amish people, right? But in order to obtain peace, you really have to simplify your life. When you got to go and pay bills, when you got to go and do all of these different things, all of those to me is like a direct conflict of what you say peace is, right? Like they are very simplistic people. They don't have electronics that I know of, or the old school way of how they was. Like some of them really didn't even really have that, like electricity like that, or this, that, and other. People, I understand people want that calmness, but when you are a warrior, and that's why I said I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in war, right? I get that, right? But as a warrior, look at Thanos, right? Let me use him as an example. Look how much hell that man had to raise in order to get what he called what peace was. But then look at how he was at the end of it when he actually obtained peace. But if he actually learned how to use something else that we're going to get to, he could accomplish everything that he wanted to. But that's just the path that he chose, right? So that's just my perspective on peace. I don't think that as a believer.
So let me ask you this. I'm glad you had a different perspective because people always think like we agree on everything, but we don't. So we all have different perspective, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't know why they think that, but okay.
I don't know, but
we go at it all the time.
So all right, so let me ask you this, right?
Right.
And I'm trying to really ask the question in a way where it makes sense for everybody that's tuning in. Again, if you are tuning in, welcome to Final Notice Podcast. We are streaming live on YouTube at Final Notice Podcast on YouTube, and also we are streaming live on Facebook too, as at Final Notice Podcast on Facebook too as well. It is interactive, so hey, definitely tune in, chime in, drop a comment, share it live.
You'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah, definitely. So let me ask you this, bro.
Gotcha.
When we talk about obtaining peace, right?
Right.
I don't think obtaining peace is something that is done overnight. It's a constant struggle and a constant fight for that.
Right.
When we talk about financial stability or finances, we talk about that as instantly.
Most people, yeah.
Yes, right? I want to hit the lottery. Boom. We want the easy way to be rich, right? We want to be, or my daddy better have money, and then when he dies and roll over, everything rolls over like an IRA account, right?
Yeah, you better pray. You got that life support, that life.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but when it comes to peace is a little bit different. Peace is something that you actually got to live in. In order for you to obtain peace, you have to live in peace. You get what I'm saying? So you got.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that.
Because you got to constantly live in that space, right? Whereby you are constantly fighting. And it is good to fight because you're fighting for something that's worth you having.
Exactly.
The same way some of us look at money and say, man, I'll do whatever it takes to get money. Like you said with DMX.
Right.
You know, whatever, sold his soul for the riches, and he's good for that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's something that he was firm.
All that stole his peace. Yep.
Right. And that's right. But that's what he considered peace. Just like how the rich man would say, well, I have billions, but if I go take that little bit that this man have right here, that's going to give me the final piece that I need. Right? You give an example with Thanos. Thanos had all the daggone the jewels. What was it? 5 crystals? He had all
Infinity Stones.
Infinity Stones, right? But when he finished having it, the way that he obtained it, he was miserable at the end because there was nothing else left for him to fight for. He
had to kill his own daughter to get that.
But there you go. But that's where it depends on how you're living to achieve that peace and how you live in that peace, right? Christ came, when we go back to the biblical terms, biblical readings, right? Christ came to show us how to be able to live with compassion, right? Showed us how to live with each other, how to love our neighbors, not how to be living in war and fighting and killing each other, right? So he gave us the blueprint on how to be able to live within that peace.
Right.
We as human beings took that and turned it how we wanted to be. So that's why I said it depends on how the person viewed himself as them living in that peace.
So I agree with you, right? So what I'm
Mhm.
saying is, like you said, the world took that and like castrated us.
Mm.
Because, like you said, you have to fight for it.
Mhm.
Because one thing you're going to get when you get to do that is power. But if you, what I'm saying is, there are certain people, and shout out to my all my I'm not really a big zodiac people, but you know, I tell people all the time about these cancers that I've found in life and different things like that. But yo, their biggest strength and their biggest enemy, if anybody, and their biggest weakness, if anybody know any, is the a made up mind, right?
Mhm.
And they're one of them type of people that sit back and say, yo, once I made up my mind, and I've heard them just recently tell me this,
Mhm.
I told myself that I would never do this again, right? And I'm sure there's more people like that. And I think that's the weirdest thing somebody can say, right? Because
Mhm.
again, look, they're choosing peace, or at least so they thought.
Mhm.
But what happens is when you choose that peace like that,
Mhm.
you strip away your power because you ain't gonna never know how to fight. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, yes, Jesus left us the tools to learn how to live in the framework of a peaceful life. But to sit back and say that I want my life and I want the things that I want built upon peace, it makes you weak. I say it like this: what if Martin Luther King chose peace? What if all our civil rights leaders chose peace? They would have never got attacked by dogs. They never would have got hit by water hoses. But see, that's what you often see when people say, I want a life that's based on peace. They give up. They don't fight. They sit in the corner and they just accept whatever comes their way. And they sit back and be like, well, I'm going to just get whatever I can get out of it because my peace and my happiness is the only thing that matters.
Mhm.
So they don't really fight. They don't really do anything. So for you to sit back and say, I want my life to be based on, surrounded through peace, it's like, how will you ever learn how to walk in faith? How will you ever learn how to trust? Because at the end of the day, that requires you to come out of peace and do something that you have never learned how to do before. And that's letting go.
Mhm.
We try to control everything. When people say, oh, I want peace, that means you now take control over, try to take control over everything around you. And I just sit back and I can control this. You can't come in this way. You can't come in that way. You're not going to be able to do this because you're disturbing my peace. You're going to become weak and you're going to become very controlling. So when it's time for you to learn how to walk in faith, you're going to have to learn how to let all of that go. And you're going to inherit a fight that you really don't need to fight.
So let me ask you this: as a believer, right?
Yeah.
For me, and if anybody that's watching that, this question may be for you, right?
Right.
How do we interpret what Christ was saying in that moment in the scripture?
No, I'm saying what you're saying is right, though.
No, no,
But
no.
like I said, it's a state of mind, the Holy Spirit. So I don't want to jump ahead, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to jump ahead, but I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to answer that question, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to answer that question. But I don't want to jump too far ahead, right?
Okay.
All right, so what else we got up on here? And we ain't getting no other comments on here. It's all good. Thank you, Brother Larry. Because that was one of the questions. Look, like, what would it take for you to live such a life, right?
Mhm.
So that was one of the questions that I had on there. All right, let's do this real quick. I'm gonna throw this scripture up here real quick, right?
Mhm.
And it's come from Habakkuk chapter 2, right? Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times, even when you start a business, they tell you write a business plan, right? That's
Mhm.
like the vision. People wanting money, that's your business plan, that's your vision.
Mhm.
People that want peace, that's your vision. I see what that's about, right? Chapter 3 goes on to say, for the vision is yet for an appointed time.
Mhm.
And what you was talking about is that process that you have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
The money, learning how, like I never grew up with, even though I went to the Academy of Finance, which is a financial program, they taught us concepts, but they never taught us how to actually work it. And they never taught us how to live in it. They didn't teach us how to be it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the financial part of it is still going to be, because we didn't have real financial literacy. It wasn't real financial literacy. So that's the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people, like you said, they want to hit the lottery because they don't want to sit back and learn financial literacy. They don't want to sit still and make and demand the people who say that they over them, their leaders, and make them, force them or teach them how to learn how to have financial literacy without trying to force them or take advantage of them to make them pay for it. To me, I think that's very predatory, right? Like, I can understand if I'm going to sell my services and become like a financial advisor or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's another thing to sit here and I say you're my daughter and you're my son, you're my child. And I sit here and I had to charge my daughter money so that I could teach her how to be financially stable and free. I think that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Even like peace. All this stuff is for, and like you said, an appointed time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull this up real quick, make it a little bit bigger. But at the end, it will speak and it will not lie. So first of all, like you said, your scripture that you said is going to speak and it's not going to lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want, and Bible says he's going to give you the desires of your heart. Like you said, it's still that process, right? It's still those things that you have to learn, that you have to get there. It's not going to lie. And though it tarries, wait for it. Because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And that's the scripture, right? Which is weird because I never really see too many people break down that second verse like that.
Mm-hmm.
They always just say, write the vision, make it plain. But the thing about it is, you can write a vision all day long, but if you don't understand the process, then you don't understand the things that's going to take for you to go through that to obtain those things, you're never going to get that. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and jump in that. What's up, Steve? How you doing, my brother?
Still waiting for that instrumental beat, man. I ain't about to let him get away with that, bro.
Yeah, be your own child.
Like that. Shout out to Donnell and Dave for sending us an instrumental that we can use to open up the podcast. Steve wanted
You can't shame Steve, man. You can't shame Steve.
$1.5 million. Steve said he wanted $1.5 million.
He's worth it. That's a man that knows worth.
Hey, that's fine. But
he just ain't. Look, but we just ain't got it right now.
I ain't got it right now. I ain't gonna lie to him. Give it to me on a afterpay, man.
So afterpay, Let
me get that afterpay. Shout out to afterpay. Anybody that's using afterpay, make sure you pay.
That's right. Hey man, nothing wrong with it, bro.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
He's a busy man. He's a busy man.
Oh, all right, man. All right, 6'5", baby. All right, 6'5".
So let's get to it then, right?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody was to ask me that question, the life that I would choose to live is a life of wisdom, a life of power. First of all, I already understand the amount of power that is attached to my life. And oftentimes what I realize is like a lot of other people who are a little bit more mature than me, they will see the power, they know the power, or they probably didn't understand what that was, but they were just trying to use me to, you know what I'm saying, a certain way for their good. So what I had to learn was wisdom. That's why I said with Brother Larry earlier, he said knowledge. You get knowledge from everywhere. But without applying that knowledge, you'll never gain wisdom. Right? So for instance, I know where God is calling me to be. I know my purpose in life. I know what I'm supposed to do, right? And if I never learn wisdom, I would never be able to efficiently use the tools and the things that I have to accomplish what I need to accomplish in my life. Wisdom will teach you how to access peace. Like you said, you can be a warrior in a garden, but sometimes you have to access the peace when you need to shut things down, when you need to reset. But at the end of the day, you're still a warrior. Every day you go out, and I tell everybody to say the same thing I tell my daughter, You have an enemy that's trying to steal, kill, and destroy you every single day as you walk outside your house. And to ask for peace is crazy because he ain't trying to give you none. You have an enemy that's trying to kill you every single day that you wake up. So for me to ask for peace is to say I'm trying to avoid that and I don't want to be it. But no, my job is to put my foot on his neck and have dominion over him and to conquer that. In order to have that, I need to have the power. I need to have the wisdom, knowing that I'm not fighting my brother. I'm not fighting my sister. I'm fighting the spirits and the principalities and the wickedness that's influencing that person. That's how you gain peace. Peace comes from, so how it was gave to me years ago when I was trying to fight to get back my life and my freedom. Happiness produces joy. Joy produces peace. That's how it came to me. Happiness is temporary. We can find happiness in finding $10 or $5 in our pocket. But the moment we spend it, that happiness is not really there no more. We can wake up. Once you crack 100, it's done. You know, you can find happiness in buying some new shoes, some new J's. But the moment you wear them outside, they start getting them creases in it. You know what I mean? But your happiness, you use those little small moments to produce your joy. That's why you got to think on the things that are good, the things that are virtue, the things that are pure. You got to think on those things so that those things collectively can help produce a joy in your life. And once you have that joy, you're gonna obtain some peace along with that. And you have to surrender peace. Peace is one of those things where you surrender. You know, you gotta, like I said, you gotta fight that. It's one of, like you said, it's a state of being. He left it with us. He gave it to us. But it's one of those things, like you said, you have to access. You have to live in it. You have to access. But at the end of the day, like you said, you got to fight. So then say, like, when my grandmother was ill, my grandmother was sick. I heard the story in the Bible when he kept saying, can these old bones live? Because man will go off of what the doctor keeps saying. Man will keep going off of what's in front of you. But when you access a certain level of power, because Jesus raised people from the dead, Jesus said we're supposed to have greater power than him when he's gone, right? Why we can't speak to the ill, why we can't speak to the infirm, why we can't speak to those things along with the action that comes along with the faith and the power to make things happen, right? In order for those things to come about, but you also need to access wisdom. Wisdom will allow you to dictate, move through, function through certain things and allow you to have access to certain things so that you can operate at your fullest potential, whatever you need when you need it. That would be my answer to that question. I want to live a life of wisdom.
You know, now that you put it in that perspective, I agree with you, man. I definitely agree with you. You're absolutely right about that. Now that you actually put that in that, it break it down like that, that really, now I understand why you said wisdom. You definitely, you absolutely right, because had Daniel Snyder had the wisdom, he would not be he wouldn't have to sell his team.
Yeah, he wouldn't have done none of that foolishness. But like when you say, like, people keep saying that the love of money is the root of evil. That's not it. It's the greed.
Mm-hmm.
It's the power that comes along with it to be able to control people.
Shout out to Dave, right? Dave said something today, right? Dave said, when I was talking to him before we came on the podcast, right? Dave said, he said, what did he say? He said, the things we lust for in this world becomes the things that enslave us in this world.
Yes, sir. You know who said that too? Who the first person that said it? But see, that's why I like rap music. I ain't gonna lie. Because Andre 3000 said that in Mighty Yada Yada. He said, whatever you get engaged to, like whatever you do, you get engaged to. Now you're a slave to it. Mm. So whatever you do, you got to keep it up. Like you said, say people, like you said, for the riches and the finances, right? I want this status and I want this look. Dog, that's the reason why Steve Harvey had to work the way that he worked and did what he had to do. He got used to the private jets and all these other things. He had to do Family Feud and all these other shows. He had to keep working because now he's a slave to it. You want that lifestyle? You want all that? Then you got to take everything that come along with it. Good, bad, and ugly. And see, me, I have enough wisdom to see what comes along with chasing the bag, my mental health, my physical health, my inability to access my emotions, you become really devoid of a lot of things when you do that, and you become a slave to it. So yeah, Dave was right.
Yeah, because when he said that, I was like, and, you know, Dave. Shout out to Dave again, man. Dave be thinking like I don't really be listening to him, but when I talk to Dave, I really ask him questions to gain knowledge because he really has some. He really speak knowledge, and he speaks from a place of a good heart to really trying to educate you. So when he said
Mm-hmm.
that, I said, hold on, repeat that, Dave, because I always used to say what we see, right? Our minds process the things that we see, and then we become enslaved to it into our mind because now we lusting for it. We gotta
Yep.
have this, we gotta have this, we gotta have that.
Yep.
So when he
Yep.
said that, it just kind of like put everything in perspective in regards to, you know, the things that we chase for and how we get stuck in that tunnel vision because we have become enslaved to that. So now all we think about is just that. It's just like you see a bad chick when you know when you young and you trying to all you think about is her when you know what I'm saying when you try and get with her, right? But then after you
Right.
get with her, it's just like she calling you now. You ain't even pressed to answer the phone no more.
Right. Right. Right.
You did all that work. You was focused, and your mama be like, "Huh? What you saying?" Be like, "Huh, ma? I ain't know you all have been into this
Yeah.
girl." You finally get the girl. Now it's like there's no use for it. It's like, well, not no use, but you know, you don't see it as in. You know, she calling your phone. You like, all right, let me put this. Let me hit ignore. I'll call you back. But before, when you was locked in, you know what I'm saying? As soon as the phone went blink, hey, what's up? I was just thinking about you. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's true where we get that tunnel vision from, but it just again it depends on you as a person. You know what your purpose are, like what your priorities are. You know what I'm saying? I think it's like when you walking in the likeness of Christ, you got to know the things that are important to you.
Right.
To me, my tunnel
Yeah.
vision is my family. I ain't gonna lie to you. My kids and my wife. That's my tunnel vision
I
because
would say
that's
that's
huh?
I would say that's more of your duty. I wouldn't
Well,
necessarily say it's your tunnel vision.
well, not tunnel vision, but I'm saying more so like what, like that's the most thing that that's like the thing that I focus on a lot more is to
Right.
make sure their well being because I have been charged to be able to keep them safe and make sure there's food in the house for them, make sure the bills are paid. As I'm doing my my father duties as to make sure my kids are good. So that's one thing that it's like if I had posted those things, that's like my number one thing is to make sure my kids are good. You know what I'm saying? So it's to me, it's what I really focus on. Like I told you, I know how to make myself available and unavailable at the same time.
Right.
And prime example is when I make myself available to do my Christmas adoptions for the families, and when I go out to do the feed the homeless. When I do those things, it's rare that you're gonna get me to come outside and just say let's go to the club. It's rare.
So let me ask you this question. Have you
Mhm.
ever heard of this statement that says that when you're about God's business, God is about your business?
Nah, but I like that though.
I don't even know if it's biblical or not. I'm
But it
almost
sounds good though.
certain that I heard people say that because my thing is when you are concerned about, and it only makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Like the type of God that we serve and how good and merciful He is. When you focus on the things that He had for you, you mean to tell me that He's going to leave your family raggedy? He going to leave your stuff high and dry? So if I would say I had tunnel vision, my tunnel vision would be on purpose. My tunnel vision would be on my calling. My duty is to my daughter in this house. But see, I know that if I focus on my calling and I focus on the things that He's, putting inside of me to do,
Mhm.
I ain't gonna have to worry about that because it's gonna take care of it. That's gonna take care of itself in itself. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that I would say my tunnel vision on because I can't remember these scriptures. They popping up in my head, but they moving so fast that it's leaving at the same time.
Mhm.
But it was like if He count every tear that you cry, and He is there. Like He says He perfect those things which concerneth you. If your father have a mission for you to do and you got to go and do it, your son play football.
Mhm.
You want him to go out there and be the best football player that he needs to be. You're not going to let him worry about his cleats. You're not going to let him worry about his uniform. You're not going to let him worry about certain things because I got you. I'm your dad. I want you to focus on while you out there protecting yourself, having fun, and doing the best that you can do. You don't need to be worried about nothing else. And if that's the case that you do that for your son, how much more would God do that for us? So that's how I look at that. Like, you have to take care of me. That's how I look at it. Like, you have to. I'm dumb enough to believe in you. Not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm strong enough to believe in you, to give you everything. And if I'm running after what you put in my hand, so that when I leave this earth, I don't know if I said this, but I definitely told my mother. I said my greatest fear is leaving this earth and knowing that I didn't accomplish the things that I supposed to have accomplished in this life. How can he look at me and say, well done? So no, my tunnel vision and my focus was on what he has for me. Mm-hmm. But I know that what he has for me and the things that he wants me to do, that in itself is going to take care of everything else. So I don't have to worry about it.
I like that, man.
But that's what wisdom teaches me. Yep.
Man, this is actually because when you came up with the topic, right? I really, to be honest with you, I didn't know where God was going to take the conversation to.
Right.
You know, because I remember I told you from this earlier. I said, man, this week has been one of those weeks, man.
Has it?
Man, my wife had to bury one of her favorite aunts today.
Oh wow!
Sorry, yeah, so it was just like a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man. Then the kids been out of school for these half an inch of snow in Georgia. They shut the whole state down, and 2-3 days in a row, 4 days in a row, these kids been in this house eating up everything, man.
Everything, man.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just been one of those weeks. Man. So it's like, really, you know, when you called me, it was like, yo, what do you think about this? I'm like, yeah, you know, that's a good conversation. But to be honest with you, I don't know if people really think we sit around and try to come up with these topics. We really don't. Right. That's the thing. I can call Aaron or Aaron can call me. We talking about something. Like, you know what? Why are we sharing this with each other? I think this would be a good conversation for
a good conversation. Yeah, and that's how we base the podcast off.
Yeah, that's how we base.
We realized we just had great conversations that we would talk to each other. And I'm not going to honest. There's not too many people that I can have these conversations with. Like you said, Dave is one of them. I love David. You know what I'm saying? David has a really good heart, and he, to me, is really trying to do the right thing by God and walk the right way. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, my prayer for him is that he continues to grow in that and he develops a closer relationship, you know what I'm saying, with the Father. Because that's what he believes in. He's a good dude, man. I love David, you know. But that's the thing. There's very few people I can have these type of conversations with. Every now and then I throw something at my mom, very few people though. But it's like we always get somewhere. And I think there's always good conversations. So we had these conversations on this podcast. We just try to share it with people and try to enlighten everybody with these conversations. That's all.
Yeah. I definitely like this episode, man. I hope people that's tuning in, the people that's going to watch later on are really going to get something out of this, man, because we don't claim to know everything, but we do share our experiences and what we believe in that may work for you, may not work for you. You know what I'm saying? Right. But we do try to come from a place of a good heart and a good judgment to be able to share these things with you. You know, like I said, I always get personal in my life because I'm not embarrassed about where I came from to
That's
where
right.
I actually use that to help motivate somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Because
that's right.
Nobody's perfect, but we all strive to live a life where we don't have to live with any regrets. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Definitely been one of those episodes where I think I have to go back and rewatch this because you dropped a lot of. I love what you said because I never looked at it from that perspective, bro. I never really looked at it from, having that wisdom, but then it makes sense. It makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
You know who started me down this path that I pray for every day?
What's that?
Keon, man. All right. When we was in college, Keon said, "Hey, man, it's 31 books. In the book of Proverbs. He says you read one of them every day." And like I said, like what made me realize that I need wisdom, right, was a failed marriage, right? I grew up, and this is, like I said, no slight. It's I really don't like like trying to talk about these things. But the truth of the matter is, there's just a lot of broken families and within my own family. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not too many really solid, real relationships in my bloodline. You know what I'm saying? People that you can look at and say, this is what I want to mimic my marriage off of, right? I think the closest one is my godparents. I love my godparents. My grandmother, my godmother, my grandmother, and my previous first lady, Savannah Smith. They probably like the sweetest people I ever met in my life, man. I used to pray that my daughter can grow up and have that level of sweetness to her because they were so caring and kind. But my godparents was like the first people, and it's unfortunate that I seen it after my marriage like fell apart. But they were the first people I looked at and said, y'all wouldn't mind having a marriage like that. And I remember looking at them one time and I said, there's no possible way in the world y'all had it easy. No way. Y'all had it easy. I know y'all went through some things. And my godmother said, you don't know the half of it. You know what I'm saying? And I love that because on the outside looking in, it's amazing. They love each other. They genuinely care about one another. They ride for one another. So when my marriage fell apart, I realized that I don't know the things that I needed to know. We say we believe in this God. We say that we care about this God, all of these other things. But the crazy part about it is how much of us actually know what is required of us and the things that he said of us. How many of us just sit there and listen to some man or some woman say something over a pulpit and we just believe that that's what it is, not knowing that they make mistakes like us? You know what I'm saying? Some people, as I gotten older, realize they be watching stuff off of YouTube and watching other people just regurgitating. Don't have no type of revelation and nothing that they saying. So then it was like, if you really think about it, 95% of the things that we learned in our life came from other people. Like my godparents told me stuff. Teachers tell us stuff. Our mother tell us stuff. Our dads tell us stuff. Our pastors and deacons, they tell us these things. But how much of it did you actually learn on your own? And that's when I had to go running looking for answers. Because when I wanted to kill myself and I wanted to end my life, he showed up with his love. And I'm like, well, who are you? Who are you to love me after I made all these horrible decisions and my wife left me and I made her my idol? That you still show up and you still telling me that you love me. I had to go look for some answers, bro. I had to take them blinders off from everything that I used to know. So now I had to rebuild myself up and find answers and get wisdom. I had to look for him. He said, seek and you shall find. I had to go and I went seeking for him. And I didn't stop until I found the things that I needed to know. And so what I realized is like he was putting all of these little things in my life since I was a child. To like I said, meeting Keon. Who would have known that would have those things of wisdom would come back that I would need later on in life? Because he said, meditate on my word day and night. So what I took that as is 31 books of Proverbs. Just like Keon said, meditate on your word day and night. I start my day with it. I end my day with it. So that it can stay inside of it. Certain things need to pop up. Then I start reading the book of Ecclesiastes and different things like that, just so that I can gain wisdom. I needed the wisdom so that I would never feel powerless and hopeless again. And even when people in my family is hurt or sick, or whatever the case may be, I can go and speak to a situation like Jesus. Use wisdom. When he said, Lazarus, come forth, he didn't go there and say, get up, because everybody would have got up. He had enough wisdom to say, Lazarus, get up. And Lazarus got up. Because if I speak, I know what I say out my mouth is enough power to make everybody in here get up. But see, that's the type of wisdom that we need to have to know how to pinpoint and direct it so that we not causing more damage and harm than we doing good. And that's the reason why I say I need the wisdom to go along with everything else that I know that I need to do so that I can know how to navigate through the minefields and the traps when people are talking to me and dealing with me.
Yo, that's deep, man. Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah. I give all glory to God, man. Those are the things that he take me through in my life. Like, we like every day that I grew up, like when I was younger, I was told, look, man, there's no outs in your marriage. I remember telling you my ex-wife. It was like 2 other people that I was interested in after that. I said, yo, you gonna leave me before I leave you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I know what I was told. When you get in a relationship and you taking on that, the old school mentality is like, yo, if your wife don't want to pay the bills, like, you got to pay the bills. You got to carry everything. But you're just getting this information and don't know how to process it. You don't know what you're doing with the information. It's not to say that it's only me. It's like, now, like, listen, man, even if that was the case and I started struggling and things started falling apart, I still need to know how to have enough wisdom to know how to approach a person and say, baby, I need help. This ain't going to work the way that we want to work it. You feel what I'm saying? But because of the way most times of us raised, the first thing we do is start a fight. Most of us get in an argument. Most of us start everything going haywire. But it says, with love have I drawn thee. Not commandments, not putting people down. He said, confess your fault so that it can be healing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is say, baby, I think I did this wrong. Let me confess to you. I was wrong. I messed this up. And even now, when people ask me why my marriage fell apart, I don't ever dog her out. I mean, I have every right to, but I don't. You know what I'm saying? I said, I did not know how to be a man. I did not know how to be a husband. I did not know what I needed to be to lead us where we needed to be. That's why I say my marriage failed. Not only that, we were 2 young people that loved God and was looking for God that didn't have no real guidance. Satan wasn't going to let that happen. Mm-hmm. So all of them little seeds and all of them little things that he planted, they came forth eventually, broke it up. But I could tell the carnal story. I could tell the other side of that story and be truthful. But what good is that going to do?
Yeah.
You ever hear somebody say, like, you issue them, like, why you don't ever talk about it? Why you don't ever pull them up? I would never do that. And I used to tell people all the time, I said, but what good would it do? They ain't understand it. People be so confrontational. And we're like, but if I do that, what is the outcome? What result am I going to get from that? Wisdom.
Yeah.
So wisdom don't allow me to have tunnel vision to a certain degree. It allows me to broaden my peripheral so that I can see that landmine over there to be like, yeah, I can duck that one right there. Because it's one proverb in the book of Proverbs that said, a wise man sees trouble and avoid it. That's supposed to go down it. And like, I have a homeboy in mind, like back in the day, I used to tell him, like, yo, life ain't the best teacher. Because I don't have to go down that dark alley and get my behind kicked to know that it's people going down there. Like, if you walk past dark alley, right, and you want to cut down, and you see a whole bunch of people going down that alley, and they get their butts cheeked, and they come out the alley all beat up. I don't need to go down there to find out that the same thing just might happen to me. I'm cool. I don't think I'm that tough or arrogant to think that I'm going to walk down there and come out unscathed. I mean, possibly, but why would I do that? I use wisdom and avoid it. But see, that's what I'm saying with most people, like, yo, they'd rather run into a fight. They tell me the meek shall inherit the earth, right? If the meek want to inherit the earth, why would I exercise my ability to cuss somebody out? Because that's easy. My emotions and my feelings is easy. What's hard and difficult is restraint. Not to cuss somebody out is the hardest thing to do. But the meek is going to inherit the earth. So why not exercise meekness? I don't need to tell you off. I don't have to. What I'm going to gain out of it? It's going to make a bad situation worse. Wisdom.
Yeah. Hey, man, for anybody tuning in, welcome to Finding Orders podcast, man. We just had a really good, really great conversation about tunnel vision. And, you know, we had a real good conversation. I think you took this chapter of Habakkuk, chapter 2?
What you mean?
Like the topic of today?
Yeah, 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yep.
Well, how do you pronounce it? You Americans pronounce things very differently.
I want to say it's Habakkuk.
Habakkuk.
Yes.
I'm from there, man. It's Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3 or
whatever. How you say it?
Habakkuk.
Okay.
It's Habakkuk. Habakkuk. Let me put the foreign.
I even see that video with the dude walking around saying the English language is the stupidest thing in the world. I have no idea, man.
It's just like when our first people said Deuteronomy.
It's not Deuteronomy?
I don't pronounce it like that.
How you pronounce it?
Now let me give you the African pronunciation of
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
We
Teach us
pronounce it as
so why.
Deuteronomy.
Huh?
Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy?
Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy.
Yeah, Deuteronomy.
Yeah, but you people say Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy who? Deuteronomy who?
Hey, man. You know what that's like to me? You know what that's like to me?
What's that?
That's like when people try to say, and it's like I said, no, I'm not shooting at nobody. Please don't take it no way, God way. When people say the Most High or Yahweh, all of these other things, this is what wisdom tell me. Wisdom tell me that if you go back and look at the original Hebrew language, right, and look how that's spelled, God didn't care about his name because we couldn't speak it. We couldn't speak it.
So then why would God said, I respect my word as I respect my name? So he cared about
Say
it
again.
God said, I respect my word as I respect my name.
I've never read that one. I can't speak on it. I want to know the context of that. But this is what I'm telling you. This is what wisdom tell me though. If you writing down a name that can't nobody pronounce, you wasn't too worried about your name. Because this is how I said it. Because it was too holy and too sacred to say one, right? But because man always had this way of trying to make God come down to them instead of them go to God, they added vowels in it to pronounce it Yahweh. Right? So they pronounced it Yahweh. So I'm sitting there like, okay. And it is like, but he told Moses, I am. I don't care what you say. I am the Father. I am, you know what I'm saying? The provider. I am Jehovah Nisi. I am. I am. I'm all that. I'm all that. I don't care what you say. And if you think about it, all of those are just titles. So when you say the Most High is still a title. So I don't even understand the fight or the semantics over it. They all the same thing. So if I call him God, you call him the Most High, we talking about the same person, bro. He's I am. That's what it is. We can't pronounce his real name. We don't have the tongue to pronounce his real name. But that's just me going down the rabbit hole.
Hey, man. Thanks for anybody tuning in, man. There's people to tune in. Welcome to Final Orders Podcast, man. This is a very live, interactive podcast, man. We definitely thank everybody for tuning in today. Today's topic was tunnel vision. If you do get the opportunity to sit back and if you need something good to, to listen to or watch to gain some more information and knowledge about life itself, man, I definitely recommend you to tune in into this podcast. We've had some great conversations, but this one by far takes the cake for me, at least personally, because I didn't look at a lot of things from the perspective that Aaron you described today. So definitely thank you so much for giving me that opportunity to be able to learn that. I really don't have much to say, man. I really feel like this has been a really good conversation. Thanks for those who did tune in, man. Tune in to watch again. We definitely stream live. Yeah, for the comments and everything. You know, we definitely.
I'm gonna tell y'all this. I'm gonna say this real quick. If y'all don't want to jump into the comments, don't call me after the pod over with and talk my ear off. There's so many people out there, and I'm kind of joking, but because there's certain people that do listen to the pod, like even my stepfather. I wanted to say that too. He reached out to me, and he was like, "I heard y'all. I was listening to that Men in Leadership Part 1, and I heard y'all was talking about the women aren't required to love their husband." And I'm like, that's true. And he was like, but when you take an oath or a vow before God, you vow to love them. You can't break that vow. I said, that is correct. But a vow and a requirement is two different things. You're not required to love them. It says honor. But yes, if you take a vow to love them, then yeah, you should take that vow serious. He had a point there. And I wanted to put that on there. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Well,
appreciate it. Don't hit me up. Yeah. Comments. He said he left a comment on that too. He said he left a comment on that. So
it gotta be probably like on the page or somewhere. I probably gotta go see what he left. He probably going at his heart too. He probably like, you know, who you talking about? You talking about me?
Yeah, I think he was upset. And I was like, no. You just so happen to have a name of one of our biggest fans. That's all.
Yeah, man. I didn't see
him. That's what I call him. He's one of our biggest fans. One of David's biggest fans too.
I haven't seen him on social media like that, man. I have to check in on him.
I haven't. In fact, I said something about me getting my gun carrying license and this, that, and the other. He jumped up there. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know you didn't see the comments on that. Yeah.
So he only doing with his business purposes only. I can respect.
Yeah, I can't. My man Steve said, if you're good at something, don't do it for free. So man,
Steve is one of the most laziest guy I've ever met, man. Don't listen to Steve. Steve got all the time.
He busy, yo. He busy.
Doing what? Trolling on social media.
Man, busy, man.
He's a busy troller. He trolls on social media.
Steve I joined this weight loss group too, man. I'm trying to lose 20 pounds.
And he got mad at me.
But I'm gonna get there,
bro. I'm not gonna get us started on Steve. One day we're gonna have a podcast about true friendship. That's when I will get personal with him. Don't worry. Don't worry, man. But again, thanks for everybody tuning in. Again, this is Final Notice Podcast, man. We are a live interacting podcast. We will throw this recording back out for people to go ahead and watch. You can always reach out to us if you don't want to comment. You can reach out to us at finalnoticepodcast@gmail.com, or you can message us on our Facebook page. We do have an Instagram page coming up too as well. We're working on TikTok. Hopefully, President Trump will allow us to be able to post on that too as well. So, and that's crazy. I wanted to say something about that real quick before we go.
I want to have a whole political conversation.
All right, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
Yeah, we can get over here one day, man. I want to have a whole political conversation.
I don't know how people be. we're weird creatures, man. That's all I can say.
Hey, look, the reason why I tell people all the time, the reason why they call us sheep, man.
Yeah,
sheep one of the most weirdest animals in the universe. Yes,
definitely weird, man. But yeah, man, you guys tune in next time for another great episode, man. Man, definitely thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Hey, shout out to Larry, man. Definitely, man. Hey, man, it's everybody got a different story, man. And Larry definitely got a story. And I know Larry because he's from my hood. So I know him, you know what I'm saying? I seen him before he became the Cuban assassin. You know what I'm saying?
Dang. That's a crazy name.
Bro, be knocking stuff out, man.
Dang, I wouldn't want to see him.
Yeah, but bro definitely got a story behind him, and I think it's very inspiring. And I just thank God that he uses that story to, uplift the community and those people that probably, will either fall in his footsteps or just, see what he went through and to use that to motivate them to do better. You know what I'm saying? But definitely got a story to tell, and I watch him from afar, and I definitely want to let him know that, hey, I definitely appreciate the fact that he's using his situation to empower not just himself but other people around him too as well. So shout out to Larry.
That's what's up.
But yeah, man, thank you guys for tuning in, man. Again, man, we definitely don't take anything for granted. We definitely appreciate everybody that do tune in. If you haven't followed us on our social media platforms, go ahead and follow us on Facebook and also on Instagram at Final Notice Podcast, man. What's your final notice for today before we go, man?
My mother told me a long time ago, and she said, the actions that you take do not only reflect yourself, but they have consequences for other people. Which is one of the reasons why I really never got into a lot of fights when I was younger. Like when I got to like high school, maybe. Mm-hmm. But when I was young, I never really got into a lot of fights because I never wanted to bring my brothers into, my mess, But I'm realizing how different I really am when I talk to people and have different discussions, because I don't really live for money. I don't really do a lot of things, but the things that I do, I was asked today, she was like, what do you want to do? I said, man, if I was able to live out my purpose and I had the same kind of health benefits and made the same kind of money, but I was living in my purpose and doing what I was supposed to do, I said, I'd be free. I'd be happy. But the decisions that I make is not decisions that I make for myself. I mean, you want to vote your best interest. You want to vote and do certain things that's good for you. But it's not just about me, because what good am I to prosper and the people around me suffer? I know I'm going to be all right. I'm going to land on my feet because I know who I serve. You know what I'm saying? And even if everything is taken away from me, I know, and if God is still good. I'm not going to sit here and complain and cry because I've been at the lowest point of my life already. And I know how he brought me out of it, So your decisions and the things that you do don't really affect just yourself. Please think about how your decisions and your actions affect other people. That would be my final notice.
Yeah, well, my final note of this podcast for today will be, give a shout out to my wife for not putting our business on social media, man. Not that we do have any business, but I guess people be looking for stuff, and I guess the only thing she can ever complain about is the fact that with the trash, I'm gonna keep still stuffing the trash down there until I feel like I have used every inch of that bag. That one is not going to change, man. I don't care what she says. I don't. She can call it what
Dana, you a real one, Dana.
Oh, I'm solid, man. I stand on 10 toes down. I'll sleep on the couch for that. I don't care. Because that bag is not cheap, man.
Hey, but you know what's crazy though?
What's that?
We'll get to this. I thought we talked about it another day, but that's why I said I was gonna apologize to the young lady about the headshot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not vain, bro. I have a hard time taking pictures of myself. Not that I think that I'm ugly or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I ain't gonna say that because then people get mad at me. How I really think about myself. I don't know why they get mad at me, but whatever. I don't think that I'm attracted to women that want a lot of attention on social media. You know what I'm saying? Like people that do that vain, look at me. I think they're some of the most insecure people in the world. That's just my personal opinion. No disrespect to nobody. But I just think that's just my personal opinion for you to sit back and just have 20 pictures a week posted on social media. So that's why I said, yo, your wife a real one, because I don't think I want to live a life when like people want to TikTok. Don't get me wrong. The only reason why I use Instagram, one is because my cousin told me to get it. And he sent me some of the funniest, craziest things I ever seen in my life. And that's the only thing I use it for, is to receive and send goofy stuff. But when these people do these challenges and these partners and stuff, I would never do that. I'm sorry. You scratch me off your list. Yeah. I was already told that I was born anyway, so that's fine. But that's a real one you got, man. When you got somebody that's gonna keep your business in house, man. Don't have
because, and again, not that I'm not saying that we have any issues or nothing like that, but I be seeing some people be putting their business on social media and everything like that, and I just feel like you got to have this. There's still got to be some type of respect and boundaries, right? And some of those boundaries are not putting that your business on social media. Now, I will say this though. I will entertain you if you press the right button. You get what I'm saying? So I am that type that I
you got time today, Shorty?
Yeah, I do. I really do.
I got time today.
And I don't understand what people think. Like, you can play with somebody. Like at the end of the day, I don't play with people. I don't play with people at all. Like I said, my cutoff game is ridiculous. Like I'm the king of that. I will cut you off in a second. But make no mistakes about it. The same way that I will make myself available to love you, I will make myself available to dismiss you without you even knowing you was dismissed from the jump. I don't play that. So when people play with that social media, I tell you, like, I will make time for you. And I am the type that I will drive and I will fly. And I will kind of like address you face to face. I don't play that. Like, I don't know what people think that changed. Like, just because I moved to another state doesn't move I left my personality, who I am, in the state that I was before. Don't get it twisted, bro. Like, I still get with you. You know what I'm saying? What's up?
Vision, man. Tunnel vision.
Yeah. We all learning. We still learning, man. We still trying to get that wisdom. But people be trying to play out here on social media. I don't play. But anyways, shout out to my wife for not putting our business on social media.
Yeah, shout out to Dana,
because I do have to say this. In my years of being married to her, I've never had she put up anything that I said, hey, man, don't be putting our business on social media. And I don't even post nothing about my business on social media. Because when she be complaining about the trash can, I still be like, whatever. But I don't be going on social media and say, yo, this lady be tripping out because I left the trash. And it's not that I don't take the trash out for the record. I just want to utilize every inch of that bag.
That's it. That's your prerogative, man.
Yeah,
if it comes with a couch, it comes with a couch.
Hey, man, with the popcorn and the hot chocolate and the remote ready. But now, all jokes aside, though, man, my heart goes out to my extended family, though, man.
Yes, yes.
Today was a very tough day for my wife, and I know the rest of the family, man. She had to bury her aunt, and that's not always easy thing for anybody to go through. So, and she loved my son. Oh my God, man, she loved
Wow.
my son, man. Oh my goodness, she made my son this blanket when he was born. And I still got that blanket to this day. And every time I look at it, I think about it. She
Wow.
quilted, I guess something called quilt or whatever.
Right.
And man, it looks really nice.
Crocheting and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, it looks
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
really nice. A nice whole
that's
blanket. We
great.
used to wrap him up when he go to bed and all that. So, you
Right,
know,
right.
y'all keep her in prayers and keep her family uplifted in prayers for God to help them get through this tough time. That's another conversation I want to have one day, man, about how a lot of us believers, we scared to die, but then the Bible tells us that death is the only beginning of of life. And a lot of us, including myself, we scared to close our eyes and not wake up again. I kind of like want to talk about that on one of our episodes to kind of like get a better perspective on that,
Yeah, I
man.
ain't gonna lie, cause I'm scared. I ain't scared, but I'm scared. I'm with
Yeah,
you. I
yeah.
understand. I
But
understand.
yeah, man, thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. Hey, man, share the video, write a comment, let us know what you think, man. And if you have any questions, man, don't hesitate to reach out to us, man.
Thank you, everybody. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you so much.
All right, y'all.